Alright, so today we're going to be taking a look at Deathwish. If you guys looked at the most recent patch notes, there was a little bit of support to the archetype. And fun fact, if you guys were there for my first stream ever on Twitch, I actually was playing Deathwish. So, you know, I definitely like this deck, and it kind of just reminds me like the OG days when I was playing Gwent. You know, having those Deathwish abilities, but it's a little bit more spicy now. We have Dettlaff with the buff up to 5 base power, we have Maruna with the buff up to 6 base power, and we have, you know, the great addition of Mushy Truffle with the bonded units that we have in the deck. So it's pretty serious if you ask me, and I think that this, after a couple attempts, was the best version. I initially made something a little bit different and recorded some games for it. I wasn't happy with it at all, guys. I deleted every little bit of evidence of that one there, and here we are with a fresh new look at it, and I like it. So first matchup is going to be Ursine Ritual. We don't know if it's Lippy, we don't know if it's Yeti, we don't know if it's Warriors, we don't know really anything about it. So we just have to play like it could be just about anything, really. Now these cards don't seem like a lot, but they do add up here, right? If it's a 4 provision card, and if we get the bonded off, the second one's worth 10, so, you know, I guess you could average it out to 7.5, potentially you're getting per one. Obviously there's no half points in the game, so, you know, round it up if you're feeling generous, but I think it's probably a little bit better than like an Elder Bear, just because it has a much higher ceiling, you know what I mean, given the extra point or two. In pretty well every case, it's good proactive play. So engine's on the board, and we don't have a lot we can do about it here. So again, we don't have to play deep in the round. We are on red coin. Our deck does abuse it quite well. Mushy Truffle is considered like a sort of carryover for us here, so I don't mind playing it in round 1. So you see what I mean? 15 points off the 2 bronzes. You know, they're not even at 15 points, and they're dropping that gold right there, right? I mean, that's going to climb, but for what it's worth right now, we're able to kind of keep pace with this matchup here. And at this sort of timing, I guess you could say, in the round, we're probably looking to get down one of those succubuses so that we have one in graveyard for later rounds, so expect something like that. Can't remember exactly what we did, but just knowing myself here. Okay, I don't know myself at all. I mean, that's also something we can do, right? Because, you know, we can start just getting down the Selenial Harpy and sort of get some good value that way as well. We do want the Harpies to be bonded more than often, but in this case it looks like we're opting to take it, and that's not really a problem.
May Freya choose the victor.
So I was a little bit confused here, jutted down for 6. I felt like maybe they were just lacking proactivity. Figured, you know, get the deck thinned out a little bit, do something, right? Because if we miss Haunt or Heatwave or, you know, Maruna, like, these cards can kind of make a huge difference, so it's pretty scary. So that was a really good restore. I got 12 off of that. 20-point lead. There's no reason for us to continue here. I mean, we didn't commit anything. Mushy Truffles carry over for 6 points. We got just a few bronzes played out, and a little bit of a deck thin. Ours is a little bit more trim than theirs, so it might help us top deck into something a bit better to help defend the bleed. I can't imagine they go crazy here with the bleed, just because, you know, we do have that resilience card and card advantage, so we'll see here. Still haven't established the succubus. We do want a fair amount of consumes because we have the werecat, we have the Deathlaff, we've got, you know, tons of stuff here, so just make sure we keep something like the Intriga just in case. We have some good throw cards, or, you know, good soft bleed cards to play, which is great. Toad Prince can be used offensively, and it can be used defensively. It's a busted card. Honestly, for 3 consume, it didn't feel like much. For 4, it's absolutely great. Like, I think it actually has a huge responsibility in allowing monsters, at least of this archetype, to be playable again. Because you can literally put this card in any deck and see value. Like, it could be a Arachna's Swarm and you drop this card in there and it's good. You know? But it's not too good to the point where you're like, oh, nerf, please, hotfix. So that's like... I'm pretty impressed with the balance of that one there. Well, maybe it could be 9 provision. Maybe. I don't know, 8 just feels comfortable. So, again, we have to play that card on melee. Truffle's on ranged. We gotta kind of stack melee a little bit. Because we're up right here, you know, we can just start just chucking cards down and not really stress too much. So we got that carryover for round 3 for the Succubus, which is great. And, you know, they're bleeding, but there's not a lot of tempo. Like, these will heal. It would have been great if we had a Maruna. That would have been probably the best Maruna we're going to get, but it is what it is. Thinking about spending location here, but, you know, it's not like a necessity that we drop it. The double take, you see? Now, Foglet, I know Deathwish is going to be opposite row. It's going to spawn the fog, but I do just want to have something to boost. You know, with the Golden Froth, I want to have a lineup of 3, and for what it's worth, eventually I would imagine they'd start playing on melee, you know, because a lot of people are running Ursine Ritual with the Cirrus combo, right, to get that big deck pin out, the big swing. So I'm expecting that to come out regardless, so one of those things. There it is, as predicted. So that makes it pretty easy just to put down something as simple as the Intriga in this case. Again, I'm kind of, I mean, even instead of Intriga, you could put down the Werecat. Either or, it's a pretty good Werecat at this point. Plays 7 on deploy. Now, I'm not really thinking about the Thrive on the Werecat in this case, because it's not going to get a lot of Thrive value anyways. I kind of just want to split up the points and prevent something from getting too tall. Given that the Toad was 7, I didn't really want to boost it even higher, because then the Heat Wave, or whatever they might play in this case, gives them much better value. And, I mean, we haven't seen one. I know they're probably not rocking Curse of Corruption just because they have, like, Olaf and stuff like that, and it's kind of an awkward power unit to have and be running Curse of Corruption, so I was definitely confident with that whole thing. Opting not to take the Foglet here just because I don't want to consume them both and keep it super high. I also am trying to play around like an Igni or something like that, so at least at this point it's going to take out 1 card instead of 2. One thing we got to be cautious about is there's like a nice little circulation of Yrden right now over the last couple days. I think we actually might have some Yrden footage in this video today, but you'll see what I mean. So that's kind of tricky. We get the second Succubus down because I just don't want to spend location here. I mean, it is kind of the same thing, but it's fine, you know what I mean? Now we have a bit more versatility of what we could play off it in round 3, opposed to just having Succubus in hand, so I prefer it that way. Missing Haunt kind of sucks. Can we pull it? Nope. Never, right? You see? Highlighting that, cheesed about it, but it goes on. I know we're packing tons of points here. We have a proactive Death Laugh, it's huge. The only thing I don't like about Deathwish is, again, huge Igni value, huge Scorch value, huge Curse Corruption value. The 2 9s on the row are scary, you know what I mean? And the fact that it puts it up to 24 points right there, I mean, 18-point Igni right there if they have one. A lot of people start playing this deck, and then people are probably going to have to start rotating in more Ignis. So I saw a lot of big commitments from them. I'm counting provisions here, guys. I love to do that in round 3. Go and look at their graveyard and start counting provisions 10, 20, 30, 40, right? Because you want to kind of see, like, if they have 75 or 50 at least, you know, provisions in gold cards, then you know, all right, well, what's left, right? So, and also it kind of helps you predict this point, maybe based on what you've seen, what's yet to come. So, I'm feeling pretty good here. I don't think they're doing a deck flip with a Lippy just because I haven't seen like a Roach, haven't seen Knickers, haven't seen really enough Thin. They probably thought that we were going to Mandrake the Deathwish because a lot of people were, so that's why they did the 6-point Heat Wave, if you guys were wondering. Maruna's here, and that's fine. Like, we do have the K-Ran Consume, so we're just going to kind of keep that as an option. Even if it sees removal here, it's fine. They're playing some unconventional cards, or cards you just don't see every day, so it is a little bit hard to kind of gauge what's coming next. Again, playing around Tall Punish, I'm really kind of concerned about this. The K-Ren does pose a big threat. One thing I did correct myself just in time with on my next turn was I did click location before I played K-Ren, just so that I wouldn't have a K-Ren worth the 2 9s on the back plus the 5. Because that would just leave them 1 card away from winning. So you'll see I'm going to put it down right here. And I'm like, nope. Nope. That's a throw. Stop it. And there it is. And keep it on melee just because, again, we got to play around that Tall Punish. 13 points. Puts us in a position where we could still win the game if they kill it.
Go ahead. Stare at me stump again. See what happens.
And they made the Heat Wave a little bit better here. I think we're far enough away that it wouldn't matter, but we'll just Heat Wave the 5 and that's fine.
Damn it.
And I guess this was the Yrden game, or one of them. There it is. So yeah, we played around the Yrden pretty well. Next off we have Fireswarm here. More than likely, the lackeys just got a buff for Syndicate. I think they went down to 4 provision instead of 5, so you might be seeing a little bit more Fireswarm. Fireswarm I don't think is going to be meta, just because right now there's such a... so many, like, Reckless Flurry players with the damage pings, and there's a lot of row punish, and, you know, traps are a thing, and crushing traps just eat swarms. You know, a lot of people are playing traps, and... so much damage. But I really hope Fireswarm finds a time to come back. Even Arachis Swarm for that rate. Like, I'm a huge Swarm fan when I play boost decks. I like to go wide instead of tall. Tall's kind of like just a liability for no reason a lot of the time. So, last game was red coin, this game is blue coin. They're respecting the Toad Prince here. Yeah, right away respecting Toad Prince, respecting Maruna. And I give them credit for it. Of course, it's probably the way to go about it. We get really good value off of Foglet in a Swarm matchup. I just know that if I click it, then they're not going to keep playing on the melee row, right? They're just going to wait a few turns and whatever. So there's no reason to proc it just yet. We can kind of reassess in a turn or two.
Not worthy of its light.
Alternative line 2 would be to just play it on the range and whatever, and, you know, just proc it right away so the Fallen Knight gets lower, but we have access to like a really tall punish in our hand and it might throw them off guard, so I figured, why don't we just keep it the way it is. Because I know when I play Fireswarm, I like to just sort of... My row separation's bad. I like to, again, just like put the Fallen Knights on one row and then spawn on the other row, you know? That was such a beautiful Toad Prince, and that's why I put him on the cover of this video, guys. Eats the Von Hurst, takes away arguably 20 points plus worth of value from that over the course of the round. And we're starting to get to a point where I'm considering going super tall. Like, we have the option to kind of K-Ran round 1 if we want, and then, you know, just light it up with the Imler's Wrath in this case. If things get out of hand, you know, that's our escape from the round. And most often Fireswarm plays Devotion, which is kind of why I don't think it's optimized right now. I think it's really important to have some non-devotion options, whether it's a consistency card or a removal card, because like very few factions or very few archetypes can do it by itself. Monsters in a pretty good spot, but again, even there are cards that you need for monsters. Like, I find the consistency lacks with monsters, so tutor cards like Naglfar aren't as good. So, you know, having like Lanero and monsters makes a lot of sense most of the time. Mushy Truffle goes down for nothing. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. I guess maybe it was a misread on like the deck build with like a clause of a different card or something like that, but usually it's supposed to create something, so I guess they'll be removing that one after the game. That gives me a pretty comfortable opportunity here just to tempo ahead though. And I'm feeling pretty confident just due to the Mushy Truffle misplay. It kind of lights up some red flags for me here. So I might even consider just going for a bleed depending on what we pull into. We probably dump away natural selection. Foglet's like a little bit slow too. Of course we get the other natural. So, you know, we could just Onero on Bram. Could. Should. Did. There it is. So I'm just thinking like, all right, so if we get out the big spenders like the Helveed and we get out the Jacques and we get out all that type of stuff, then short round 3 shouldn't be very good. Even with a card deficit, I know that I've had a really tough time while playing Fireswarm myself to just kind of come up with a lot of points in like a turn or two, because you get a lot of profit cards and only like a few really good spenders. So I'm thinking every single turn you play on the bleed here, guys, I'm looking for a pass. I'm looking for, okay, let's see if we can get our card back. So that's why I went and cranked the leader on that one here. Also, we don't want to keep the Bargus too tall in case they surprise us, because Mushy Truffle tells me it's non-devotion, right? So for whatever reason, they did not respect it at all. So I figured, again, tempo it with the Maruna, just because it gives me even more space and time to find a pass in the round. 44-0, super tough. We'll just go ahead and boost that because I want to apply even more pressure. No need to consume the 5 just yet, though. Well, it's only good for another 2 points. I want to make sure we have enough space on our boards. And again, I don't think I could resist this one. This just looks like a really good Wrath. It's probably going to be the tallest they go at this point, and it's their only effective spender that they have, so it could just see a good Wrath. Again, trying to stay out of Heatwave range. 11-point Heatwave's good, but a 16-point Heatwave's even worse. 22-50. So I'm thinking one of two things here. If they Heatwave the Bargust, they're in the race, kind of. So K-Ren's a consideration just to kind of eat all the tall things and just kind of keep it out of immediate removal, but at the same time, we're a Yurden away, we just got Yurdened, we're a Curse Corruption away, at this point you just don't even know. So a pass here is good, and I think that it would take them between 2 to 3 cards to get it back. So, you know, either way, we're going into round 3, a shorter round 3 with much less. You know, Fireswarm's running these arrays, so again, they're pretty wide as it is right now. it would just take them maybe one turn to spawn a few things in a disarray and they'd be ahead of us. So don't underestimate it here. And also Sacred Flame's really good for them too. That's something you don't see every day. Geralt Professional. I actually love that card. I just find it's very difficult to play when you're not playing decks that have units that ping stuff down. So I like to play it with Revenants sometimes. I like to play it with Precision Strike. You know, there's multiple uses for it, but I just find it's really tough if your leader doesn't have pings. I can even see it making like an introduction to Skellige, you know, but... Like, you want single pings too, you don't want double pings. Like, the Horse and Freak Show wouldn't be ideal, because at that point, just remove the card that you're looking at. So, you see what I mean here? Like, we got the 2 cards that we were looking for. Now, you might think, okay, but what's left, Q? I mean, what's left for them, right? We counted provisions, they made some good commitments, we're pretty even. And we have Oniro to guarantee something good. We still have a round worth of a play too. Like, take that into consideration. We have the Succubuses. I ditched the 4 because I figured the 5 is good, even if it's not getting the bonded effect. 5 points is better than 4 points, and we can just try and punish the roll with a Werecat. That's kind of what I was looking for. So we have really good consumes here. We got Kayran is going to be consuming the 2 Succubuses and the Werecat, so good stuff. And one of the hardest parts, guys, when you're playing Deathwish is trying to find the right balance between Deathwish units and consume cards, because too many consume cards, you don't have enough points. Too many Deathwish cards, you don't have enough points because you can't consume them and get the added ability. So when I tell you that I went and I did a whole video and recorded the games, slept on it, came back and told myself, you know, like, listen, I'm not gonna post this because I don't feel comfortable posting it. It's not good enough. I want to give people something that's actually gonna work. You know, I'm not trying to put stuff past you guys. Like, the wins were, like, I was getting wins, but they were harder to come by. Like, they just weren't comfortable wins that we knew from the get-go. It was just happening for us. So here we are. Something much better.
Now this is a knife. By denying penance, you confirm your guilt.
Damnation's really good too. Like, the new Damnation's really, really good. Maybe there's a way that you can play like a Damnation with a Bloody Good Friends or something like that to kind of ping things down or give things bleeding so that next turn it's set up. I'd be looking to maybe explore something like that. 17 points, 2 card advantage. We have it with the 5. This isn't really to BM, this is just to show you guys that we had points sitting aside. So there's 6 off the Heat Wave, plus the extra 5. Going into game 3, we have Inspired Zeal, and this is probably something that, if I didn't include, you guys would be wondering how it does. It's a really good matchup for us. I had a game that I did not include just because I wanted to keep the video at a reasonable length. However, they forfeited after round 1, just because we're so good at denying carryover with this specific deck against theirs for whatever reason. I mean, we have, especially if we're going first, because we have our stratagem, right? So Toad Prince is really good to see in round 1. Heatwave is really good to see in round 1. I'm even willing to keep the natural selection here, and that's kind of like why they're in the deck, is for this matchup particularly. So I'm glad that we actually ran into one for the games. You know, we have Maruna, that's going to be really good, and the way that I like to play against Inspired Zeal is you want to kind of play it like round 1 is round 3, because if you're not committing enough in round 1, then they're establishing the carryover, so that round 3's like totally absurd. So you kind of have to go top heavy here, and just know that when you do go into round 3 and they've established no carryover for the alumni, then really it doesn't amount to much when they play them. So we got them triggered. We quick heat wave there. They're thinking that this is going to live. I'm not too worried about that because we don't have to win round 1. We just want to stop what this is bringing out. So what are they fetching for first? I'm guessing it's probably going to be, yeah, there it is. Now, I'm kind of gauging how much I'm willing to commit here at this point, because we did play the Heat Wave, so I figure let's put down the natural selection while we have it, and it's well, just in case they, you know, start playing around it and using leader charges when they don't have to, right? Defender goes down, they have 7 cards, we have 8. I want to play one more. What can we play? Wouldn't be bad to just establish, yeah, the duel, because we want to get a Succubus out and get that carried over to the next round. Normally this matchup bleeds, you know, so at least we have that on the board, and then we can prepare for a round 3 with it, because the extra effect that it has when you click it on the order is, of course, it spawns the 2 drones, which is good for Mushy Truffle, which is good for our consumes if we're just looking to, you know, consume something that's not too tall, but it does put the top power unit on the top of our deck, so if I click it in round 2, Detlaf or Maruna is going to the top of our deck, and that's exactly what we want to see for round 3. So I'm really happy about this setup. We didn't allow them to really get any carryover at all going forward, and we saw some really good trades. So Donamir's out of the way. That 9P Siege, I forget how to say its name, man. You know the one. The busted one. That's out of the way. Do we see a bleed? Not even. There, we clicked that. Never forget to click that. I think we haven't used Oniro yet, so I'm going to dive here and take a deck thin, because I'd rather just get... Where is it? The plant. Arcspore. Rather get the Arcspore out of the way, because I'm not pulling into that in round 3, no thanks. I don't care if it's points, because our board gets pretty clogged up as it is when we start jamming Haunt and stuff like that. So, especially with the Selenio Harpies too now, giving the extra Harpy Egg, it's just going to be a mess if we keep it all out there. So, round 3, we are perfectly prepared for this one here. I don't even feel bad about not having Heatwave, and at this point I'm very convinced that it's not going to be a Siege variant, just because they have the Spellweavers and they're kind of expensive, so it's one of those things. We want 2 cards here. I don't know how much value we're going to get for Werecat, so if we have a choice here, we're probably going to go for the Detlaf. I value the natural selection, but obviously not enough. Intrigue Warrior is fun, but we do have a lot of consumes. I guess the Foglet's not ideal, but it does help us proc our scenario, you know, if we wanted to kind of hold off on the Detlaf for last say or something like that.
Worthy hands. Our hands.
We have like 3 answers right here, just sitting here. Alumni comes down for really not a lot, maybe 2? That's like a perfect Toad Prince, guys. Because, like, I can't ping around it. I don't really want it with Maruna. There's probably something with Maruna that we can actually use that's going to generate more points. So, we'll just go, yeah, like, this is better. You know what I mean? Has a much greater ceiling. And just boom. Big bully Q with the C's here, and we're just going to let that kind of get comfortable. It does get a little bit awkward in the way of removal for the second one. It's one of those things where, you know, we could take a Wrath on it, but I'm not sure if I'm in a rush to do it here. I just feel like a little bit less threatened by it because they're just coming out with this now. I think if I was to play this matchup yet again, I would probably just deal with it off the get-go, if I'm being honest. But actually, we did. Big brain. I'm proud of myself. That's, yeah. You love to see it.
Folks say we live like princesses. If only they knew.
You guys are getting some ideas from this one, man. That Foglet, there we go. Putting in big work. And the reason why I put Foglets here, guys, Deathwish tag's great. But if you think about it, Foglet's 4 base points. And it gets up to an additional 6 points of damage on the consume. So you're getting a 10-point card, in essence, for 4 provisions. How many cards in the game are stronger than that, right? It's very hard to find really high... I mean, I say that, but right now there's actually a fair amount of really good 4 provision cards. But you know what I mean, like ones that just stand out as stellar. I'm trying to find the best trade-ups here.
Magic is all around. You need but reach
It's a little late for the... I almost called her Fukushia. Name blank. Letitia. There you go. So yeah, little late for that. So again, at this point, with our lead, I know it's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be close enough. Mushy Truffle's really good here for the rats, guys, so I can't stress that enough. We could boost them if we have the room, otherwise we just consume them with stuff like Karen so we don't get too tall, but here we go. Gotta play around a Baron, because a Baron could be a thing, Varaxis could be a thing, we could do like a double Baron, like, I don't know. You know, taking in mind that the roll will get jammed shortly. I have a lot of consumes left with Karen, so that's why I'm not opting for the consume on the eggs right now, just leaving them there in case opponent decides to go and do something like damage them by 3, which would be kind of nice. Duel coming out. They saw the heat wave and they saw the wrath, I believe, so I would have just maybe saved that or boosted it with something else to get a bit more removal range, but that's fine. At this point I'm thinking what's left, you know. Let's just go ahead and play that. Assert dominance, power play. Also kind of gives me an idea of how much we have left, you know, just when everything's pretty well played except for the Deathwish, which is about 24 points, I think we established. So we know that if they do no damage, we're getting up to 99 points here. Math is correct, yes. Absolutely busted on the Deathwish. And there's a lot of considerations for the deck, guys. I tried Karen Theer, I tried, you know, just point slam 4s instead of engine, like, instead of, like, you know, the bears and stuff like that. I tried, what else? Like a Glusty variant, and I was just really feeling this one here. I tried some of the other Deathwish cards that were buffed, you know, like the 4 provision ones and stuff. This just seems cozy. Huge points, but not enough points. We take it, and we're going to the last game of the day, guys. If you stuck around till now, I appreciate it a lot. All these games have been solid, and really glad I can share these with you. And I'm still thinking of an idea for tomorrow's video. I had one deck in mind. I was gonna play Northern Realms, however, I just was kind of tilted about the mage matchup. I didn't want to play mages myself because I like to do stuff a little bit different, right? But it's like one of the only archetypes, and there's like really only one leader that I feel comfortable playing with Northern Realms right now that just feels strong. So I think we're going to pass on the Northern Realms for at least a few days until I figure something else out I'd rather do. Monsters has been refreshing. I haven't really been jamming a lot of monsters over the last couple months. Been playing a lot of Skellige, so we might take a couple days off Skellige. So, you know, we definitely got options. Might dip into Syndicate a bit more. Maybe try and find something you guys haven't seen in a while. We'll see. That's the beauty of it, guys. I just play what I feel like playing, and, you know, I get bored of stuff easily, so it's always going to be something different. So we'll just take that out of the way. I was not going to kill it. Like, I was going to kill it with a natural selection, but I felt like Toad Prince had to come out here to assert some dominance because, you know, Jackpot has, like, their crazy point swings, and we just don't want to get caught uneven here. You see what I mean? They're starting to bring out a lot of points, and we have room to still pass out of the round. There's nothing that we really want to kill here. The only cards I'd really consider playing at this point would be Mushy Truffle or the Location, just because, you know, those are things that have some carryover. We have one Succubus out, so I'm leaning more towards the Mushy Truffle at this point. The only thing is, like, I don't have, like, a lot of Deathwish going on, and, you know, it would feel kind of like a waste to take Mushy Truffle for a consume. We don't have the Bonded on the other 4, so yeah, it's probably one of these things. We go for the Succubus because we do have the K-Round in hand, which kind of helps, you know. It's like a play if they really push us here. If, you know, yeah, if they're pushing, that's like pretty big points off the Succubus. Also, we could play around Graydon and stuff like that. I mean, consuming it does give them the coin, but they wouldn't get the tribute value. They wouldn't be able to play it first, but you know what I mean. They would just play it for 3. Seeing that's good, because now they have to play another turn, click it, and let's see some removal.
10% for peace of mind.
And if they bleed out in round 2 a little bit, we can try to find a way to get rid of that boat. We have Maruna and Dex, so again, if there's an opportunity, this is already a play that I'm thinking of here. We're thinking probably Heatwave on like a Siggy. We do have Kayran saved, so if they go tall with anything, we can literally just... That's one of the best parts about Kayran, guys. Like, if you're not doing this, you're not playing it right. Let's just say that, because you can greed it up to the perfect removal height and just consume that, and then just use the Wrath, and it's just busted. Siggy down. You know, obviously there's a consideration to just Heatwave it off the get-go, but we don't know exactly what they're gonna have. I'm thinking at this point I see Siggy, maybe there's Caesar, but hard to say. Without spending a lot. And looking back at this turn, I mean, maybe something I would have done different would be consuming the other token so that we can like get our row having 3 units a bit quicker for the Mushy Truffle. But at the end of the day, it's the same amount of points, and I don't think we should really have a problem doing that anyways. It's almost the same thing if we just put the second one down next turn and consume the one on the other side, because the Eggo spawns to the right of them anyways.
Just take the whole finger.
Yeah, so there it is. And I'm giving them this opportunity to get back their card. Just because I see Siggy and Witchfinder, I'm feeling pretty good that, you know, I can take them with even cards in round 3. And I'm really glad we have this example here, because this is like exactly why I built the deck this way. We have this, the third one in hand. Like, this plays for so many points. I have to let that one go, I think. We consume it to get the coin. They can fit the coin right now. You kind of want to consume things when their bank is full, if you're going to take, like, you know, bounty consumes like that. Just throw the boost in here to get us ahead. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. But I figure at this point, let's just try and keep card. And you see what I see, right? You see exactly what I see. Figured that would be enough. We could have taken the 8, but at the same time, I don't think we'll need it there. It keeps us ahead by 1 point. It's looking pretty nice. The 8 is a little bit harder for them to remove. Like, if they put down a horse and it takes 2 more coin to remove it, they only get 6 back. So you see what I mean? Like, Harpies are the MVP in this matchup. Like, look at all these golds that they're trading for birds. You know what I mean? Just bronze birds. We have to take it here. I would have waited for them to greed it a bit more, but it just makes sense to take it here to keep the lead. At some point, they have to think maybe they shouldn't keep bleeding. Nope.
I don't have a dirty mind.
And I value leader charges a little bit less right now, just because that keeps us cozy in front. Indriga's not good to play. It wouldn't really do much for us here, so that's the move. kept the card. We have Scenario, we have Dettlaff, we still have a leader charge. You know, we're sitting pretty comfortable. I don't think we need the Intriga at this point, but we should top deck into something good. There you go. It decks the location right. Natural's okay. It's probably better to go like a little bit like less unit, but that's even better. Missed everything but Heatwave. We could pull Heatwave. We have a choice, Heatwave or Werecat. They probably aren't playing super wide, so it's probably going to be Heatwave in this case. Searching for value on the Maruna. I like to Maruna first before I Dettlaff. Dettlaff's not really a priority, but in this case it doesn't really matter. Actually, Maruna does see some value here, because we can't take 5, we can certainly take the 3, and we don't want to use Foglet and just keep damaging the 3, because they can just keep hoarding and just restore it, so we're losing a lot of value in the Foglet there, which is why we just get that over and done with. What's nice here is that they don't have really any damage spenders, I don't think, with exception to something like that. So I know they have 9 coins. I know that if we go wide when we finish proccing our Scenario, that there's probably going to be a really good opportunity for them to use a lot of the coins for bleeding and potentially even creep ahead of us here. So dive in for the Heat Wave and just saying, you know what, we can afford to do it at this point because we defended the card so well. So there you have it. We know we have 24 points off Dettlaff, actually less, because 1 leader's gone, but roughly, you know, 20 points, 21 points off Dettlaff, and then we have just the 5 point and the 4 point. You know, I don't think we're, well, we could consume the Foglet here. Yeah, we can consume the Foglet with maybe a Barghest. That changes plans. I'm trying to play around Graydon here, guys, so their bank is full. Dettlaff down. I think we can get 1 Dettlaff consume out of the way with our leader.
Silence.
Actually, that's smart. Yeah. So now we have the second Dettlaff, or we have, you know, if the Graydon comes down, we can fix theirself one more time. There we go.